like I did last week, I'd like to introduce to you some new members of the 118th Congress, individuals who campaigned on issues that we support. One such member is U.S. Representative Josh Brecheen. He served in the Oklahoma state legislature from 2010 to 2018 and consistently obtained one of the most conservative voting records, and he kept his promise to serve only for 8 years. He now represents the 2nd Congressional District of Oklahoma. Congressman Brecheen, welcome to Washington Watch and welcome to Congress.
Oh, thank you.
Well, listen, let's begin. One of the things that I'm doing right now is introducing to our listeners and our viewers some new members of Congress who share our values. And so if you would take a moment to share with our viewers and listeners, how did God lead you to run for office?
Well, I left the state legislature in 2018 and felt prayerfully led to start a small business, a dozer excavator trucking type business. And it was a place of learning to a whole new level just how much government intrusion in the free market can really cause you problems. If anyone listening has a US DOT number, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And so I spent years experiencing the burden that's placed upon everybody else. It kind of goes in line with a founding father comment, George Mason, and who believed in term limits. And within the midst of several years of doing that post-legislative experience, I really felt the burden to get back involved in public policy. And so began to prayerfully consider starting a family policy alliance in Oklahoma that used to be focused on the family, and now it's FPA. And then that was kind of a 2-year discussion. And ultimately, when this seat came open, my wife and I took it to prayer and felt like this was where the Lord was leading us. And I filed 3 hours before the filing deadline, 14th out of 14 people to file. And I can say that it really is like the turtle on the fence post that you'd see out in the pasture and say, how did that happen? And it didn't happen by himself.
Well, that's awesome. And we're all grateful that it did happen. Josh, we want you to know that. You've had now what was probably one of the most historic weeks ever to begin a new Congress, as we saw the Speaker of the House election showdown that eventually led to some exceedingly much needed House rules reform. What's your reaction to all of that, your first week?
Well, it was intense. There's no doubt about that. It was a place where I was really reeling upon Psalms 107. And Psalms 107 talks about they cried out to the Lord in their distress, and he led them by a straight way. And so I was in, day 2, day 3, day 4, really putting it, as Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says, to lean not on your own understanding. I knew that conscience was saying it was the right thing to do to get structural reform and make the Congress deliberative again. I think it's a shock for most people to realize since 2016, not a single floor-derived amendment had been allowed on the floor. And that's not representative governance. That's more tyrannical when 9 super legislators determine what gets on the floor of Congress in terms of amendments. And so I knew it was right, and I'm so thankful that we had a good result.
Well, it was just an amazing battle, and we are so grateful. I think it really has changed the landscape of the way Congress is going to operate. Last week, the Biden administration celebrated the latest inflation numbers and claimed as a result that the president's plan is actually working. In fact, I have a clip here from White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre. I'd like for you to listen to this and get your reaction to it.
When you see inflation down for 6 months, that matters, right? That's because of the president's economic plan. When you see annual inflation down 6.5% from where it was this summer at 9.1%, gas prices down by about more than $1.70 from its peak. All of that matters. And so that's how we're seeing this. We're seeing it as the president's economic plan is indeed working.
The president's economic plan is working. We have nothing to fear. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I wish my wife could be here in this moment and talk about the cost of a dozen eggs right now. I think it's interesting to be taking credit for 3 times the normal rate of inflation where we were just 4 times the normal rate of inflation just this summer. I think it's wrong-headed to be celebrating 3 times the rate of normal inflation at 2% at 6.5. And so it just really shows you, I mean, theater is evident in politics. It's just spin. And so we've got to turn this country around. The government's not creating jobs, and it's the free market unleashed in our nation once again that can turn our economy around. And if we can get bureaucracy and government out of the way.
Well, I've got another clip I want you to hear and get your reaction to. Earlier this morning, President Biden said this regarding the economy. He was at the National Action Network's MLK Jr. Day breakfast, and this is what he had to say.
2 years ago, our economy was on its back, flat on its back. People were hurting, particularly minority communities. Black Americans and other people of color were disproportionately hit. And Kamala and I and our administration acted decisively with the help of people in this room to not only rescue the economy from a pandemic downturn, but to lay the foundation for a stronger and more resilient and more equitable economy for decades to come.
All right, real quickly, your reaction to that comment.
He's living in an alternative universe compared to I think what the normal person's experiencing. Ask him 2 years ago where the economy was at compared to where it is today. Anybody who's gone to the grocery store and shopping knows this. Go into a convenience store, and while my kids say, "Hey, can I have a bag of beef jerky?" and my response is, "Not at that price."
That's a good reaction to it. Listen, we've got about 30 seconds or so. Josh, again, thank you for joining us. How can people pray for you?
Well, you know this as a former member of Congress, the pressure and the just the amount of intensity that you live in for our families, that we would be good spouses, that our spouses would feel cherished, our children would feel loved, and that at the end of the day, when all of this, the titles go away, that people would look and say that person represented Christ in that position, and that's all of us, regardless of what position in life we're in.
Josh Brecheen, thank you for joining us and welcome to Congress.